I wrote a flying saucer by Lois Lane with the help of Futureman. There are several things wrong with that headline, but in space, no one can fact check your articles. I mean, Superman could as Clark, but then he'd have to potentially reveal his identity. And Silver Age Superman would either rather you think that you're insane or just let lies be published than do that. This is Superman 121 from the year 1958. So Silver Age, yes, but this story isn't half as zany as some of the other in the outings of Lois Lane marries other people will get. There are so many tales yet to come, and we've covered a lot of them. We have an entire playlist. This story, The Bride of Futureman, it walked so that those stories could run. Written by Coleman with art credited to Kurt Schaffenberger, which at first had me a tad skeptical because Schaffenberger has a very distinct look for Lois Lane. He was the main artist, this over on Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane. But maybe he really only got to implement that when he started working on that book, and that seems likely because there are some quotes talking about this and his distinct look for Lois. Here it looks very much like he's emulating Superman artist Wayne Boring's style. In the short biography Hero Gets Girl, the life and art of Kurt Schaffenberger, he states that he made some changes. That's right, it's quote time. The Lois Lane that Wayne Boring did was a very unfeminine looking girl, so I changed it. Boring, for instance, only had one facial expression. I tried to make her more human. So if that's the case here and he's working within those confines, he's trying to add some tiny more expressions in, and then when he does his own Lois, it's just gonna get extreme. So many villainous eyebrows. I love Schaffenberger's Lois expressions, they're so extra. It's always interesting to see how a character is rendered by different artists. I recently got myself rendered through a collab that I'm now very pleased to tell you about. I've been working with Dynamite Comics and we have a special cover and t-shirt to reveal to you. It's me from the future. I had to film this section at a different time for reasons. If you've been here a while, you'll know that I love Re-Animator and Vampirella. I even managed to talk about the crossover, and all of those things are now coming together. Thanks to Dynamite, there is a Casually Comics variant cover and a t-shirt. It's for Cullen Bunn and Blackie Shepherd's H.P. Lovecraft's Re-Animator, The Eternal Lie Part 2. There's a Kickstarter ongoing time of recording and there's still a few days left to back. So if you're interested, you can have a Casually Comics cover or the t-shirt. You can wear it in public and have to explain it to people, or wear it in the comfort of your own home, which is what I shall do. As for the basic plot of the series itself, the story goes that Herbert West's Re-Animator serum has been stolen by a cult and he needs to go on a quest to get it back, cause it's totally better in his hands, except not really. Blackie did an awesome job on this cover. He picked my most extra wig as an inspiration, which I appreciate. It's just a really fun image overall. It turned out really cool. The tees are $25 and run from small to XXL, and the special variant cover is $20. So if you love Re-Animator and Casually Comics, and you want to check this comic book out and help support the channel, the link will be down below. Or if you're just interested in the story and you want a different cover, you can check that out too. There are other choices. Just if it catches your fancy, head on over. It's really not something I ever expected to happen. I'm very humbled and very flattered. I wanted to put this announcement on one of my favorite types of videos to do. All the things coming together. I hope you enjoy the cover and tee as much as I enjoy covering Lois Lane being a menace. Goodbye, Superman. I'm leaving with XL49 to marry him in the 22nd century.
That time machine, it's taking Lois Lane hundreds of years into the future. I'll never see her again.
This is where he goes home and throws a party. That name, XL49, it makes him sound like either a clone or the child of an eccentric billionaire. The kind of name where you have to stop and think for a minute about how you're supposed to say it. Also, Superman can go to the future to visit her. He shouldn't, but he could. Also, I kind of really like Futureman's outfit. There's too much going on, but I'm kind of into it. I think it's the fancy striped-edged cummerbund that's doing it.
I'll save you, Lois. This is a job for Superman.
Don't bother, Superman. I already have saved her. This was a job for Futureman. Lois has always dreamed that Superman would one day marry her, yet it has always seemed as if the Man of Steel had a heart of steel as far as she was concerned. However, things take a strange and sudden turn when a rival with all of Superman's super qualities, plus a super yen for Lois, shows up in the amazing tale, The Bride of Futureman. I can't read that without thinking about the Bride of Frankenstein. The Man of Steel has a heart of steel sounds like an angry opinion piece that Lois would write. And maybe Perry White would publish, because he did publish that puff piece about Jimmy being awesome. That was in that story where Jimmy was convinced that Lois wanted to marry him because she was being nice to him. We opened this story properly on our future man coming to the present of 1958 via Bubble. Moments later, the colorfully costumed figure changes into everyday garb. Now to adjust this false beard, my secret identity as Jack Wilton, average American, will be complete. How ancient man lived. He wore fake beards. Could he not go the extra mile and maybe find a fake beard that matched his hair color? Or he could get one that didn't and dye it? Or is average American Jack Wilson making a fashion statement? Next I must find her. This Lois Lane damsel certainly is beautiful. Fortunately, my research has acquainted me with enough facts to help me locate her without wasting time. Oh man, she's a damsel, not a dame? I don't know if I can support this pairing. You can see the strings on his beard. So this right here is an example of what they would call time peeping in the anti-lad story that we recently covered over in the Legion. Time peeping. It's just people creeping on people in the past from the future. Stop it. Get some help. Soon outside the Daily Planet. Lightning cracked that tree and it's a menace. Before it falls accidentally, I'll use the heat of my X-ray vision to burn a hole completely through that crack. When it topples, I'll save her from it. That will make a dramatic introduction. That's not how X-ray works, and also this happens to her every day. You're gonna have to try a bit harder to shock Lois Lane. Tree falling? Yawn. Pedestrian. Have no fears, Miss Lane, I'll save you.
Don't worry, Lois. What? Who are you?
Huh? Lois is just out here trying to live her life, scheming to marry Superman. Superman has one of my favorite reactions in this comic to one of Lois's random suitors ever. I know all about you, Superman, from history books. As far as I'm concerned, scientists of my day were able to give me all your superpowers to use in my own time for good.
I see, but why?
Superman's just like, but why though? And if they did, why are you here? That was so confrontational. I have all your powers in my time too. Future Man, Jack Wilton, says that he must talk to Lois alone, and he even puts his cape down the ground so that it covers the splinters from the tree that he just disintegrated after he caused it to fall in the first place. What a gentleman. Jealous, Superman? You'd be much more so if you could see this scene a little later. No one can see me here, so I think I'll change to my secret identity. But I can see you. You don't want me to learn your secret, do you, Future Man?
Why not? I trust you completely, Lois. This is the way I look in my secret identity, and I use the name Jack Wilton.
Good heavens, he's treating me just the way I always dreamed Superman might treat me. He looks so proud in this panel. He's so pleased with this alias Jack Wilton and his little beard. That's the real reason he came back in time. You saw the book. He just wants to use his average guy from 1958 cosplay.
And now I have an important question to ask you. Are you engaged to Superman, or has he proposed to you?
Why? No. You clearly have not done much time peeping on Silver Age Superman.
Good. That means I have not traveled across the gulf of time for naught. I want you to marry me and return to the future with me.
You want me to marry you? She looks horrified in this panel. His Halloween store villain goatee isn't helping his case.
Why not? Everything you admire about Superman is true of me. Super strength, super breath, and besides, he won't marry you.
Future Man, you're letting your feelings run away with you. Don't forget your secret identity.
There are more important things. I'm willing to trust you and have you share my life completely. Why pine for Superman when I've traveled 1,000 years for you?
Please. Give me time to think about it. There are many reasons to consider not going 1,000 years into the future with a stranger who just showed up and is far too earnest and hand-grabby in a melodramatic style. That was some very aggressive, will you marry me? Also be careful, Lois. He only listed 2 superpowers there. I mean, we know he has a third, the X-ray, but you don't know that. And is he even handsome? Lois hasn't mentioned that once. We all know that in these stories, that's a staple for Lois. Lois decides it's only fair that she talks to Superman, tell him what happened, give him a chance to propose. But Superman is still a firm no. It's the usual, it'll put you in danger, / people will use you to get to me, it's just not safe. Well, if that's the case, hello 22nd century. Actually, not right away, but she does storm off. Superman wants to try and make a case for her to stay and pine for him. He really enjoys their status quo. He decides to try and get her a good scoop. That'll win her over. It's actually one of the more thoughtful gifts that he's gotten her in this era. He does get a little extra about it though.
Lois is covering that story, but I know those flying saucers are only nickel-laden meteors flashing into our atmosphere. If I catch one for her, she'll be thrilled.
Sometime later, deep in the outer reaches of space.
Ah, there's one. Bringing her that specimen for a scoop will take her mind off Future Man. I'll just, I'm sorry, am I intruding?
Well, we did think we'd be alone out here. I wrote A Flying Saucer by Lois Lane with the help of Future Man. He's getting a byline? Who approved that? That funny look on Superman's face. He must be jealous. The only way to get him to propose is to accept Future Man's offer. And if he doesn't propose, I'll never get a better husband than Future Man. You say that now, it's only 1958. You haven't seen the other options yet. I really hope that her article title is clickbait, and that inside, once you get past the headline, she tells people it's a meteor. She should also tell people that Future Man has found the secret to space travel, and she could go up there just with a little fishbowl and survive the vacuum of space. Lois is in full scheming mode at this point, so afterwards, when Future Man proposes a picnic, she says yes, but she takes him to a spot where Superman is scheduled to help blast a tunnel. There, Future Man lays on a bit more pressure. He's got 2 hours till he needs to go back to his time period. So come on, marriage, yes or no, tick tock. Yes, if Superman will not have me, I want to marry you. Tale as old as time. The romance. A few moments later,
Oh, you again? Keep showing up, don't you?
can't I make another seat for you? Over there.
No thanks. I'll make my own. Here!
Now he really looks jealous. This is the time to pop that question. Wow. That sure showed him. And no, he still doesn't propose. And when Lois tells Superman of her decision,
"But I can't marry you. I must dedicate my powers to the good of all humanity. Please don't go with him just because you're angry with me." You super idiot. I'm going because I love him. Goodbye.
yes, if Superman will not have me, I want to marry you. Love sure looks different than I remember. Maybe I've been doing it wrong.
This is hilarious because Lois doesn't love Futureman and they both know it.
Just what is Futureman getting out of this? Why does he want to be with her? Usually when these suitors show up, they're all, oh, you're the best woman in the universe, galaxy, multiverse. He has not given a reason, nor has he presented his mannequins. Well, Superman decides that she's going, so he should get her a gift, remember her life in the past. And the best thing he can come up with? Golden plaque. A plaque with the name of all her friends engraved on it.
Lois's best friends at the planet agreed with me. This gold plaque is the most ideal present they can think of.
I'd say that he forgot her sister, but she hasn't been introduced yet. Brad Hunter. That's a great name. The Arrowverse wiki says he's only appeared in one issue of comics in Superman 220, but I think that this one should count too. First appearance in Superman 121 as a name on Lois's plaque. To Lois, so you're marrying a man from the future because you're mad at me. Love, Superman. Later, when Lois is about to step into the time bubble,
"A little gift for you, Lois. And do you mind, Futureman, if I kiss your bride goodbye?"
yes, I mind very, no, not at all.
"Goodbye, Lois."
I've often dreamed of his kissing me like this, but not as a farewell forever. You've dreamed of him passionately making out with your cheek? A moment later, Lois steps into the bubble and... Take a good look, Lois. You'll never see the year 1958 again. Futureman, one more time, but with less menace, please?
I can't believe it. I could try to stop her, but I have no right to. Futureman really loves her, and he's willing to marry her. Well, I can't.
No, he doesn't. But suddenly, Lois Lane is parachuting back to Earth on Futureman's cape. Guess he doesn't need that. Why? Because in the plaque, she found a secret message. She found that there were certain letters that are more engraved, and they spelled out, I love you. Even though in the first panel we saw the plaque, they weren't more deeply engraved, but that's actually gonna matter. Continuity. Okay, look, Lois, even if he did do it on purpose, which he didn't, the problem still remains, he won't marry you. This wasn't one of those stories where she wasn't sure whether Superman cared about her at all. The issue is that he's not marrying her, and that still stands. There were so many reasons not to go to the future with average American future man Jack Wilton, XL49. But this was probably the worst and weakest one. But there are still so many mysteries. Like, why was Futureman in the past in the first place? It was clearly not for Lois. And in our last panels, we get the reveal.
Well, XL49, can you fill in our missing knowledge about Superman's life? Did he marry Lois Lane?
No, but I think I put him on the right path. Before I left here for the year 1958, I made up my mind that if they weren't planning to get married, I'd play Cupid. And I think I did with a certain message I engraved in gold. XL49 is a crazed shipper, confirmed. But to paraphrase 1958 Superman, but why though? What could he have possibly seen once actually getting there that encouraged him that yes, this couple, I need to make this happen. I must intervene and potentially derail the entire time stream because we're missing information, so Lord knows what's supposed to happen. But he's decided. Just like Superman, he too is manipulating Lois. But I mean, she was also using him. Just everybody needs to stop. You know, with a few tweaks, you could update this story. And you could even do it again with Booster Gold. Just Booster messing with the timeline. He thinks that something's gone wrong and they haven't gotten married, so he tries to go back and fix it. No, the wacky. Or he can play it seriously like his 2000 series actually did. Or it can just go off the rails and we can have Tom King write it like The Gift. The Gift was the one during that run where Booster tried to save Bruce's parents and the results were odd and hilarious. This was the story that gave us Hal showing how powerful the ring was by shooting himself in the head. Impressive, since he doesn't even know what Will is. As for the Bride of Futureman, this is not the finest Lois marries somebody who isn't Superman story out there. It's not even the best Lois tries to marry someone who's from the future story out there. I think that one goes to Darnell. Darnell was a disastrous, terrifying mess. As for this story, the explanations as for why everything is happening are a bit too loose. They're too slipshod. They don't really come together. I mean, these stories aren't and don't have to be too deep, but usually the connective tissue flows better throughout them. There's a rationale that's presented. Half the time it's shallow and, oh, she's beautiful and I must have her, and then there's a mannequin room involved. But that's still something. For most of this, you're not sure why Futureman is there, and there's not really any urgency to anything. It feels very boilerplate. However, this is a very amusing one to riff on. There are lots of little things within it that are just funny to highlight. You're gonna get more well put together and entertaining pieces in this vein, even if they go completely off the rails in Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane. Regardless, Futureman proposed and she said yes, so it still counts. What would he have done if she hadn't noticed his little note that he'd added? Would he have just gone back to the future with her and shown up and be like, guess what? I guess Superman didn't marry Lois because here she is and she's marrying me. Get the cake. What's Lois gonna do with that plaque? Is she keeping it? She should maybe refund that. At least this time she didn't go to the future and turn ugly in quotes and then come back. What did you think of Jack Wilton, XL49, aka Futureman? Let me know down below. Please, if you're interested, check out Re-Animator, The Eternal Lie Part 2, and my cover/T. Or just the project in general. Come on, Re-Animator. I, as always, appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing comics with me. There is more content as ever coming soon, and I can't wait to share it with you. So as always, bye-bye.